All right. Let's see here. Welcome to this week's What the Heck, where I can hear myself very clearly.
Yeah.
We have Woke-Ass Messiah, we have Alex Barnett, and
What's
we're
up?
gonna we're gonna talk about Moog a little bit today.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. Let me
Collect
turn on the
mode.
participants' names. There we go.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Fancy.
Fancy.
All right. Oh, I just got a ping from someone. Oh, that's you. All right. Yeah. So first off, normally do intros, but I think everybody on here has been on enough times. So I'm just gonna skip right to the intro question. Like,
Good
what
stuff.
is what is your process for starting up your rig?
My rig is always on. But if I turn it off, um, I just flip it all on. That's it. I mean, yeah, just
Oh,
turn it on.
that's really that's really easy. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, so because my current, I'll call it a studio to call it fancy, is not in my home, I do power down. And so when I arrive, I basically power on from top right to bottom right, and then just like go like clockwork. Um, but sometimes, as it happened with the last patch that I had, um, like there was stuff held in memory on the morphogene and the beads, and I had the settings just right on some other module, and so I decided not to power those down, allow those blinking lights to just keep blinking until I got back in the next studio. I guess that it would be the next day, but if it wasn't, that these things can run for days, hopefully without blowing up.
Yeah.
Um, so, so typically that's what I'll do, unless I need to hold something in memory because I want to go off and actually perform it or do something with it. But generally, yeah, I will power down and power all the way up.
Yeah, that's similar to what I do. I don't usually leave it on, even though I probably should leave most of it on all night.
What about you, Hex 7?
Yeah. uh, well, mine's kind of a pain. So what I do is I have a few things happening. One, let's see, I'm trying to figure out which camera angle. Like under here, I've installed.
Sorry, is it me or is it just me that I can't hear? Is it just me?
Yeah, it's just you. I can hear fine. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now, Alex?
Okay, you're good?
Okay. Well, when I'm starting it up, I have two switches under here. They're two like power strips, basically wall mounted, and one I turn on is the top one that turns on like most of this stuff, and most of it just turns on. There's a couple of pieces like the mini log XD and the thing my microphone goes through that I have to like turn off and on again. I also don't usually leave the oscilloscope on because it's really old. I only turn it on
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
when I'm using it for
Sure.
visuals. Then I have to manually turn on the mixer because the mixer actually saves its state when you power it down. So it's better to just like use the off switch and then turn it back on. Um, and oh, Alex is back. And then I reach behind this, turn the power strip on for this thing, and then I turn on the Euro rack, and that's it's usually the end of the startup sequence.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's a little gremlin in here where I have to turn it off and on again, but it's mostly it'll be on by then. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I rarely turn it off. Like if I leave for the weekend, I'll turn it off. But I'm on it every day, and sometimes a couple times a day, and so just leaving it all on is so much easier. Especially if I have like a patch going where I don't want to have to think about whether I have to save something or God, what exactly? Wait, if I turn it off, you know.
yeah. That I mean, I have to think about it every time. And one of the things that drives me crazy that I forget to
Mhm.
do that I forgot to tell you is actually with the Drum Brew Impact. I'm looking forward to the day where there's an update for it where it will remember my sync setting. So I have to like hit this button to go over to MIDI,
Mhm.
and then I have to turn on the distortion because it sounds so much better like with the distortion on, which you won't hear anymore because I have it muted. But like that's always on, so I wish that would save state as well.
Mhm.
But that's all part of it. Alex, can you hear me now?
I can. I'm sorry. I had to jump in and jump out, such as the internet.
Yeah, it's cool. All right. Yeah. So oh, yeah, we were talking about earlier before the show started. We were talking about how awesome it is that like the EMS admins like Forrestine and Benjamin and Chris and all those folks sort of Incarna Lex like managing the not just like the Instagram but like managing the YouTube stuff. So ripping the
Mhm.
videos down and re-uploading them so they're individual videos later on. So I just wanted to shout them out.
Yeah.
I think they're all preoccupied right now. Forrest Ian's like working on. I think there's an April event tomorrow. Is it tomorrow or the day after? So she's doing that.
April 1st. Yeah,
They're
yeah,
doing
yeah. She's the what?
um,
The Fern Merkin?
yeah, that's Fern Merkin, and there's another one that's got a really funny name. I can't remember, but New York Modular has that event on the first, so definitely
Yeah.
tune in for that.
It is so appreciated. It is so appreciated. And I think, you just see it in the numbers, like the number of subscribers that we get in on the YouTube channel and so much other stuff is a huge part of it is the squirrels in the background doing amazing work. Uh, and it's very appreciated by the whole community. I know it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
make it happen, and it's not like a small feat, especially like uploading the videos and like putting people's names in, and hopefully you get them correct and all that stuff. Like that's no small task to do. So very much appreciated. Um, all right, now let's talk about gear. uh, yeah, the Moog just announced. I think it was yesterday or the day before. The Moog Sound Studio. And
Moog Sound Studio.
the Moog Sound Studio, which sounds way cooler than it probably really is. um, not that Moog isn't cool, but it sounds like a brand new product or something. But really, it's just sort of a repackaging of existing products.
It's a kit.
Uh, it's a kit, right? Like it
Yeah.
comes with a two-tier stand, and either the drummer from Another Mother and the Mother 32, or the DFAM and the subharmonicon. So you can sort of pick your poison there. Get both of those. It comes with a mixer, which is kind of nice. It's this sort of compact mixer that sort of sits behind the stand, and a small cable rack that's attached to the stand. Like it's a pretty cool little setup. Uh,
Is the
and
mixer is an audio interface too?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I thought there was an audio interface with it, either as a separate thing or maybe as part of the mixer. I actually, you know what? I actually Googled Moog Kit and I didn't get anything. And then I Googled Moog Studio and, and it popped up.
Yeah, let me pull up the page. Moog. It's the Moog
Yeah.
Sound Lab. Is that right?
Uh,
No. That's
Moog
the
Sound Studio.
yes. Introducing a complete studio experience.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Let's see. Share a screen.
Oh, there you go. Good.
Automatically add shared screens. Yeah, sure. Application window. Let's go with that. And I will resize it a little bit.
There it is.
Yeah. So it's a sideways scrolling site, but here's what it looks like.
Oh, ouch.
You get all this stuff. So you've got like some pop-up stickers, books, all sorts of patch books and things, some patch cables. There's the mixer, I believe. It might be an audio interface, and I'll look for that in just a second. But there's another picture somewhere over here. Yeah, that sort of breaks down
there
all
it
the
is.
pieces.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know, it gets me fired up because I've been wanting the drummer from Another Mother for quite some time.
Yeah, you
And every time Woke does a Sunday stream, I get super jealous. And my wallet gets a little bit heavier. So yeah, let's check out the audio interface. Let's see audio. Actually, let's just look up interface. I don't think it's mixer.
Yeah, what do they say? Just needs headphones, right?
Yeah, it just needs headphones, but like I'm not sure.
So there must be like some mix. You probably, my guess is there's no standalone mixer module. What you can do is take an audio in from another, like whether it's the DFAM, probably it's the DFAM, where
Right.
you're able to patch in the audio from something else,
Mhm.
whatever that happens to be. And then there's some kind of mixer component in the DFAM with the aux in. And then there's a jack out, which is probably like 3.5. And then you can break that out afterwards. That's my
Right.
guess.
Well, what I saw, there was a video I watched last night that happened to have this in it. I was just watching, every once in a while a Moog video pops up and I'll watch it. It's 2 minutes long. They talk
Was
about
that
a
the real
patch.
cheesy, that real cheesy like 70s looking?
No, I actually didn't see that until today.
That one
This was
pretty
like
cool.
this was like a how-to video, and it was talking about how to like a patch to set this up, and they talked about how to sync these, which really I never have had to think about before. But I think they took the trigger out of the I can't remember if it was the DFAM or the Mother 32, and they used that to sort of sync them in some way. And both the audio outs were going into the mixer and then to headphones. Well,
Yeah. So the mixer, I think, is a standalone. It's not part of the modular. It's not part of the rack. I think it's a standalone
it's a
side
separate
thing.
little thing. Yeah,
right.
I was just wondering.
Like what if it's an audio interface too, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you can see on these, like the way they've rigged them up, at least in demos and stuff, is they'll put this mixer sort of behind, like right here, it's visible in the picture, but they'll put it behind, like under where the patch cable holder thing is. And I couldn't help but think that patch cable, like organizer, is woefully inadequate, just because of the length of cables could only be as tall as the stand, which I guess works for just that.
Yeah, the ones that come with it are like that. I don't think you need you don't if you just have the two, you don't need anything more than that size cable.
Well, I think it's a part of a general trend, right? And this is part of how these companies market and sell stuff. So Erica's been doing shared systems, the techno systems, for
all in one
a few years, right? And then AJ Sense or I can't remember. Like, and I think it's a smart way to go. It's like, look,
it makes so much sense.
Totally, it's like I want to get in. I want to have something that is a complete.
I want to be able to do something tonight.
Yes.
Oh, that was
bad. Yeah, and so I think it's a smart idea of like. Now, I think this is a retrospective packaging versus from the get-go design, but nothing wrong with that. It makes sense to like pair DFAM with one or the other. But I think we'll see more of that in the modular world. And I like that because it's like, hey, look, buy a complete system, but it's modular. So take what you like or buy into it. Like there's so many people that are asking and scratching their heads like, where do I start? Well, this is like
Mhm.
a great, a great, a great package, a great system to be able to
Well,
start with.
and it's also, I think it's just a really smart marketing move too. Like I think they're fairly timeless machines. Like these machines are awesome when they came out. They're awesome now. And I haven't seen too many of the other major brands doing similar things. Like I think Teenage Engineering packages up like some pocket operators, but sort of the nice thing about this is it takes it gives you a really solid complete set of things that you need. You've got percussion, and you've got some synthesizer of some sort. You've
Mhm.
got the mixer right there. You've got patch cables. Like it hooks you up with everything you need to have two of those and to rock right away. So I would love to see like Korg do that. Like they've got the Volcas and things. Like why not repurpose like repackage some of the Volcas? Like here's a cool stand and three Volcas or whatever. You know.
I think that's exactly right. I think that's exactly right. And just one other thought to share just here is because it begs a question when you're like, let's say, I think in the beginner's world, you might want to just, in the world of modular, there is there's no right way or wrong way, but it's a consideration, which
Yeah.
is in 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 both the subharmonicon and what was the other one? Not
Uh,
the DFAM.
The Mother
the Mother
32.
32.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Look, there's a whole bunch of like like patching behind the scenes. There's an opinion behind the synth, and the only thing that I would say to somebody considering that is like, well, what are you really after? Do you want to really learn like the ins and outs of modular, or you like, no, I'm not so caring about that. I want something that's already kind of like pre-patched behind the scenes, but give me the room through semi-modular to be able to go and explore and the rest of it. It's a consideration, let's say.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, I was on a video hangout earlier today that you might see video of later, where Frederick Foxtrot was putting together their sort of custom Moog slash Eurorack setup, and Frederick's in the chat right now. Frederick, do you want to hop on at some point? Like, feel free to just like ping me, and I'll drop
Does
you.
that rack get
Drop
all
you the
set up
link
today?
optimistically. It's not fully set up, and I'll let if Frederick hops on, I'll let Frederick talk about it. Um, but it is looking good. It is looking good. There's power supply happening. There's the bottom tier has the DFAM, and then the upper two tiers. It's sort of the Moog 3-tier system. The upper
Hmm.
two tiers will be Eurorack. So it's going to be rad. And there's lots of drilling and
Oh,
cutting and some of that. Just
no, I agree with that. As an instrument, as a pre-compiled cut, set of ideas, I'm completely there. I'm utterly convinced. Somebody who knows what they're doing can make amazing music and amazing stuff through that package. I'm with you. Hey,
Hmm.
Frederick.
Hey, sorry, it's a little dim
Hey
in
there.
here.
no worries. I figure let's get all of the chat room in here. Um, yeah, I'm like the whole day was torture for me to watch this happen because it either made me want to do some DIY projects that I've been sitting on, or go buy a drummer for another mother, or like a whole new system. Like it was torture. I think the worst, actually the funniest slash worst, is when you were like digging through your stack of brand new module boxes for something out of. I was like, come on, that's the worst. But
Yeah,
it worked right away, first try.
I am. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. It's like the rare occasion you get to like I don't know. It's like Christmas a little bit, but so yeah, the rack was fun to put together today. It was I had the bus board was longer than the 12 inches, so we had to cut through it, and I needed another person to be in the room while I was doing it, just so you know. I mean, it's like I'm not going to mess it up, but like
Hmm.
but just having another eye to like, double check was well needed. So
I sort of figured I was there mostly as the reaction cam, so if something exploded, you get the like recorded like.
yeah, I recorded everything with like 3 different cameras just to. I think what I'm going to do is put together like a reel, like a I don't know, like a montage of the whole process, I guess. But yeah, we'll see.
It's a three-tier rack.
Yeah, it's a 3-tier. So this one, the one I have
Just
now,
like the other one.
yeah, that's the which has some other 32 base with 120 HP
Yeah.
on top, and then or 260s, and then this one will be the DFAM, and then ideally I'd have a third one, which would be the Subharmonicon. So I'd have the 9, 3x3.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to get the 3-tier rack with all of the Moog 3-tier products.
Yeah.
And split them up.
Yeah. So most people have been getting them and stacking in like 2 mothers or a DFAM and a mother, and now it's one of my comments I made in the chat before is that in some ways I feel like the studio is like a kind of a formalization of what has been kind of already happening, and I think we talked about this when you were on my show about how like Volca, there was like a hack with the Volca, and then maybe like the new update is actually incorporating some of the stuff that had been. So I think in some ways these companies are really smart and they're watching what their consumers are doing and then coming out with a new media marketing kind of campaign that kind of formalizes those things, because it's been almost kind of crowdsourced in the like functionality and all that stuff.
Yeah, I hope there's more of that. I would love to see the folks sort of doing the work get like some semblance of credit. Like what he's referring to with the Volca is that I had the Volca sample and I installed this unofficial firmware by this guy Pajen, Pajen, who I think reverse engineered the firmware and compiled their own version that completely modified it so that like all of the painful things that were part of it, like the worst was that if you wanted to control it via MIDI, each sample track of the 10 was its own MIDI channel, so it would take up 10 MIDI channels, which is absolutely absurd. And so one of the things that you can turn on is just turn it all to like I think channel 11 or 10, and control it like a normal instrument. So that was pretty cool. And then with the newest update, I think Korg stole a lot of that functionality. I say stole, it's like their product, but like it would have been cool if they like had talked to this person or
and like gotten some kind
give him some kickback or something.
Yeah. But yeah, just the idea of it being this kind of repackaging, and I think in a good way. I'm not
totally. And I think the company doing that, the company listening to the consumers, I think the best right now has got to be hands down Behringer, and I don't much care for them right now. And you make up your own minds on them, but like they really do have like clearly the biggest effort spent talking to the consumers, which helps empower folks. Like when they ask them questions and like they change their product and show you the designs like the next day, that builds a fan base pretty quickly.
I wish I had never. I feel like a lot of people have this ambiguity about Behringer because of what we all know, but like that whole conversation. But like I never actually got into Behringer for some reason. It was like an experience. So I don't have this like kind of torn. They've never been a company I've ever interacted with in any way whatsoever. But I know them. They like haunt my like modular experience because everyone else has had this like either like this very strong kind of relationship to Behringer, but I don't have any kind of like.
Well, I would say Behringer is like, in terms of conversations like COVID-19, like if someone brings up Behringer in any context, you're like, okay, you're talking about Behringer as a company now. Like they are what they are. Like I was getting really fired up. There were some products they made that I was really looking forward to, like the TD3 and things like that. But I think for now I'm just gonna stick with what I've got.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting because they've just in the last year stepped pretty forcefully into the world of Eurorack,
Oh yeah.
and Berenger, if that's the right pronunciation, typical style. Initially, there's nothing new that they bring to the table. It's an emulation of, a prize system which they're making affordable.
Right.
And but I am curious to see, and I'm going to I'll give them my benefit of the doubt to see, can they bring something novel and new, given the skills that team is acquiring, what it takes to be able to produce stuff in the Eurorack world that could be novel and new. I'm then thinking about like the equivalent of the Crave or
Right, and
a few
that's what I
other
was going to
things,
say.
right?
Like they're definitely accruing a library of components and techniques, right? Like they're getting a knowledge base, and I think by I'm sorry, we're talking about Behringer. By coming out with all these old synths, right? Remakes of old synths, they learn a lot from that. It's an easy win because you don't have to think about too much about the product design. Like maybe add a few enhancements here and there where you can. Maybe your sequencer is nicer than what was there before. Like those kinds of decisions are a lot easier than building a synth from scratch like the Crave. But I think they've probably got a team taking these pieces and sort of doing interesting things. As far as Eurorack, I think that's probably like some cool factor they're adding. Like it is cool. I don't know how much effort they're putting into it because I think I was reading something about, I think, is it Earthquaker that made Afterneath?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about, I read something in the EMS Discord earlier where they were saying like, yeah, we sold a little more than our goal of selling them, which was around 1,000, which we consider successful in sort of the modular world of side of things. But compared to our pedals, that's like nothing. So that's something to
Afterneath is
keep
my
in mind
favorite.
when you see companies coming out with Eurorack. Is like maybe it's not their main focus in the immediate future. Just because
I didn't even know Afterneath was a they made a module out of Afterneath.
yeah, I didn't either until today.
I mean, 'cause that's my guitar pedal is Afterneath. That's my main like reverb pedal. It's a great sound.
I do appreciate all of the Earthquaker artwork. I think they do a great
Yeah,
job.
right. It's Old Blood Noise Collective is my like.
I don't have a single module, but I totally wish I did,
Right, I'm
because
with you.
their aesthetic is fantastic.
It's so good.
I love it.
All right, Woke.
Hey,
We have
so
you and Frederick. Both of you have Moog gear. What do you use the most? What do you like to use it for?
DFAM, I think, is definitely the thing that's that calls my name the most often. I've got a real good relationship with DFAM, and there's like I've actually had kind of a perma patch going on for a little while, which I just haven't seen much of a need to change around too much. I like to do.
You use it as drums or percussion, or like do you find using it as a synth sort of?
Yeah, like textural drum mostly, but last night, if I remember correctly, I think it was last night's jam. I actually used the audio input in for the first time. I've never seen
Oh,
much
really?
need to do that before. Yeah, I've just never done it too much, and I had so much fun with that. It was super cool. I was just bringing audio from the Mother 32 sequence.
Is there a mixer on the? I haven't checked it out yet, so I literally just opened it today. But
on DFAM?
yeah, is there? So, for instance, can you take? Can you?
Yeah, there's an external audio input, and that's controlled by the noise, the small noise
Right.
trim.
It's the same thing on the Mother 32. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah, that's for me, like the Mother 32 is the thing I use the most. Although I have a little fatty. The little fatty was my first synth actually.
Mm-hmm.
and I think I mentioned the other night, it was like the last thing I think Bob Moog worked on before he passed, and so that was like that was like a great thing. But really, for modular, it's really, I can't undersell how Mother 32 was my window into modular. So like I didn't
Oh yeah.
understand modular. I had, and I did a similar thing where I basically bought like 120 worth of modules at the same time, just kind of put it together. With a few exceptions, I slow bought a couple of modules, but um, the Mother 32 was the way I learned to think about. So I don't know. I use it for everything. It's always
It's like the core.
it's the core even now, and that's one of the things I'm interested in, is seeing how that might change now that I have, because my only filter was on the Moog, right?
Oh
If
yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
different,
I was that way for a while.
yeah, if I wanted another envelope generator, I had to go to Maths to kind of like make
Yeah.
my own,
Yep.
So now with this new setup, I'm going to be able to, I bought those other components, so I'm going to be able to see what it's like, I think, a little bit to live outside the Mother 32. But
Mm-hmm.
up until now, I would say it's been the core of my modular experience. Even though it's a semi-modular, it still is so intuitive to like allow you to understand signal flow, I guess.
Yep.
But
Yep. So you're going to have them next to each other. They're each
yeah,
the
they're not on
base
top. They're next.
of
Yeah.
its own thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Just
Which,
because the patch bays are both on the right hand side.
yeah. So
There's going to be
I
some
think this is,
cross action there.
and I think it might be unique having three bases,
Yeah.
rather than have one that it's using the tier for itself. And
Make a little patch bay.
yeah.
You know what? It'll be good to see some of those with cables covering controls for once. Like
Mm-hmm.
instead of just over
Oh
the
shit! My
patch base.
always, yeah. Yeah, I used to be really careful, and I used to like tie up all my patch cables, and I used to use the little Velcro thingies, and just like no, I don't have time for that anymore.
Let's talk about the Velcro thingies because I've been noticing a trend, and
What?
and this could just be me, but some of the folks that I've been watching, like they get into modular, they go heavy in as you do,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden their cables get really well organized with little cable ties everywhere and all
It's
this stuff,
cute.
right? Like really nice rows of things.
Yeah, it's really cute.
It's beautiful. And then I think 6 months later, it looks like they just threw all of their cables on top, and some aren't even plugged in. Like it's just like at a certain point, you're like, it's fine.
Yep.
There's the
Yep.
few that you leave in pretty permanently, but and those can remain tidy. But at some point, you just can't get.
I like to build a little nest, in all the confusion, so you can always tell like where my Renee is, because there's kind of a little hole in the in the spaghetti.
I actually spent like probably hours, if not a few days, like thinking about the configuration of the monster behind me, so that cables wouldn't fall over important controls.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think you'd have to. I mean, I
That
don't think
didn't happen.
I don't think my system's big enough to have had that concern yet. So this is like a mystery that I'm probably gonna experience. But I do have that. I do know what that's like as far as like guitar pedal boards, because I have a huge pedal board selection that's down below, and you switch them out so often, and then are you going to sit there and tidy everything up every single time you want to take out 3 pedals or something like that? So after a while, it just becomes complete chaos of wires and daisy chains and all this other stuff. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
like I read all about like sound engineers and things like that talking about like you want the shortest cable possible and like you don't want to use like adapters, and like at a certain point I just like if I touch this button everything's going to get noisy and I'm not even playing any sound, so
Yeah,
it's fine,
right.
like it doesn't matter here. Like okay, if we're in a studio environment maybe, I don't know. No, they can just use those fancy denoise plugins.
no.
But yeah, I don't know.
Robbie
I'm
in the
all about
YouTube
the mess
chat
though.
says if you want a tidy instrument, you're in the wrong business.
We are in the wrong business in terms of that. I do like it tidy. Like for a while it was, but now like my dial, I wanted to be uncovered, and here I'll not stand in front of it. And now I have to like strategically jam my hand in when I want to use it for most of my things. The main filters tend to be pretty easy to get to, but that's about it.
Mhm.
Everything else is like strategic, like threading.
Well, for me, it's like well, it's almost ritualistic. Like it gets more and more unruly, and then I just spend one day spring cleaning. Everything gets put back and put away, and everything unpatched or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then you do it again until like a month and a half later when it's on a
Sure. I unpatch like once a week, like everything.
Oh yeah, I definitely do. Maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. I don't.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the most fun? Like I'll completely unpatch. Like there's no reason for me to completely unpatch because there's still some things that will always be hooked up that way, but I do it anyway because it's just like blank
Feels good.
slate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort the patch cables on the couch and
You on my high back chair over there.
I do sort my. No, I've got a couple of. There we go.
Oh, you've got cable hangers. I was
Oh,
gonna ask,
yeah.
where are you putting the cables that you're not using? Because mine, I got this chair so that it would be really high and I could sit down and play, and now it is completely just a cable rack. It is not sittable on a bowl.
Yep. Yeah, so I do, and I got a little basket. This is the ones I'm probably gonna take tonight while I'm hanging out on the couch and sort those.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's cool. Cable box.
Dude, that's like a lot of cables.
That is
Yeah.
that's most of mine. This is my the patch from the New York Modular. That's what that is.
Oh, so when you say detach, you just go.
That's methodical. You asked about powering on, but my most methodical action is depatching. I start up there with the Batumi, and I just start pulling things out, and I kind of support with the other hand, and then I do the thing.
Oh yeah,
I just kind of work my way down in the snake pattern.
Yeah, what I sort of do is I'll pull one end of a bunch of cables so that they're all hanging down, with one end still attached to the synth, and then I'll start putting them with all the jacks right in this part so they're automatically self-sorting, right?
A couple of them are they're still they still haven't lost that new module like grip on the on the patch cables. The performer and the abstract data event boss, both like
Oh,
still you really kind of have to get in there and
well, I've ordered a few. I've
New module grip.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I've built a few modules with those 3.5 millimeter jacks, and I've never had this problem with the quarter-inch jacks, but with the 3.5, I don't know which of the like 3 types that I got, but one of them is like ultra grip. Like it does not want to let go. It takes a while to break those in.
The abstract data is easing up a little bit. I got that back in like early fall maybe.
Oh, that's
Yeah, but performer is still
sticky.
still
Yeah,
sticky.
like you don't want to pull the cable without a hand on the module.
Yeah, exactly. It's in my small case too, so that thing slides around all over the place.
And that's another thing that I do is I usually have like one hand here, like, because
Oh, that's a good
mine's
question.
not attached to a wall or anything.
Oh, it needs to be strapped in. It's got to be like your hot water heater, man.
I have been thinking about running a ratchet strap around the whole thing just to like keep it tidy. Robbie said the case layout can help guide cable management a lot. Do you have any thoughts on how you guys arrange modules?
Occasionally, I do. I go through like a case reboot every I don't know about once or twice a year usually.
Really? Wow.
And it usually comes at a time when like occasionally I will just take a subset of my rack and just like work with that. Like I did that all last summer. I had most of this thing unpatched all summer because I was building up the little brown case right there, because I wanted to take it around as like a, you know, a performance,
Right.
a little performance case. Because I had the few shows that I played before pandemic, I lugged this thing to Southern Oregon, to like a couple of pubs, and that gets tiring
Yeah, yeah,
after a while. So, just practicing working on this small subset. But when it comes time to put everything back again, I had big holes in the system, and everything was kind of discombobulated. So I did put quite a bit of thought into module placement with that in mind, cable management. Like, is this going to be too far away from this? I'm using
yeah.
these together all the time, kind of things. But I got to say it again because I just love it so much. Is the patch bay also really changed my world, and that all kind of happened at the same time. I put the big system back together, got the patch bay, wired the Mother 32 and the DFAM into it, and I also have a Behringer Pro One.
It's cool. It's a cool instrument.
It is a cool instrument. It's actually what the Pro One is what got me interested in synthesis in general. The original Pro One. A buddy of mine had one that was falling apart. Um, None of the keys worked and everything, but the knobs are what really fascinated me.
Cool.
So yeah, I hardwire everything into that, and that solved a whole lot of my cable issues for
That's
sure.
cool. Frederick, do you have an answer? Like I've thought about this a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, but it may not make sense. Like basically, I'm looking at my modular grid in my head right now. Like that JPEG just got recalled in my vision, and like you have the patch bay. So if you think about it diagonally, you have the patch bay on the lower right, and then you have my WMD bipolar triple bipolar VCA on the upper left, and that's what everything goes out to my mixer from that VCA. So I have that kind of like diagonal everything, and it flows from that patch bay up to that VCA. And so the next tier up, you're going to have the math square in the center. It's the utility module that everything's going to be needing. To the left of that is your woggle bug, which is it has both oscillators and your LFOs and your timing and effects. After that, and to the left of that is the Circumet VCO by Synthesis Technology, which is it's the Texas Instruments.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know it's great. Like the Speak and Spell,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then to the right of Maths is going to be your phonogene, which is something I use very much in a lot of my work. So then everything in the next 60 HP are going to be your effects, like your clouds, and then my Pico DSP. I have a Stokoya Rebel Technology Stokoya, which I use to modulate filter basically, and then your warps and so basically that top rack is your accents, and then it all goes towards the VCA. Mm-hmm. So that was a very I wouldn't necessarily say logical, my logic of kind of a flow of where I'm going. So it's going to be interesting to see how, and I've done the same thing with my new setup, but I'm interested to see now how they're going to kind of work together, or I'll have a lot more options.
Right. That's cool. I mean, it's not far off from what I thought about. Like since I built a lot of my modules, I had a lot of planning time because it takes a long time to get one. And so I always do things backwards. You can kind of see my thoughts were actually fairly successful. So the way I organized it is similar to yours, but almost the opposite direction, because I knew my mixer is over there. So I wanted my audio outs to be on the right side, anything that had MIDI on the right side. So like my MIDI Muso is right here, like dead center, so that the MIDI is sort of shortest length. And I installed this before I had this case, so it was a little lower. I've got a quad VCA and mixer here, and I've got another one around here, and both of those can go straight to the mixer. I thought about which things they're just going to, by the nature of what they are, going to have a lot of cables plugged into them. So ADSRs are right here, and they're sort of in a line, which is why you've got this big tangle of cables here. And it's very similar on this one. They're also in a line over here. I've got buffered mults here and here, so they don't cover up too much stuff. And then things that go under the cables where I know the cables are going to fall. There's stuff I might use, but I'm not going to wail on. I'm not going to play a lot. I don't need to get too super fast. So maths is under the cables, while like Ikery and the data bender and ramp are fairly accessible in comparison. Oscillators are up top because you're always sort of tuning analog oscillators. And then some of the other things like LFOs that I don't mess with too much are sort of on this edge, and those don't get covered up too much. So I sort of designed it with that in mind. Where that breaks down a little bit is at the bottom, where I've got like the door stopper and the ears that I do like to play a lot, but they're sort of like, I again have to like dive between cables. But thankfully they're not things I have to do very fine-tuned actions with. So that's how I organized it. And then I have my version of the one U row at the top, which is mostly like utility modules. And if I did it again, knowing I was going to do this, the utility module would be somewhere in the like here area. It just didn't work out with this one. The nature of wood cases. So that's how I thought about it. Like I looked at a lot of synth cases. I looked at a lot of Eurorack. I think Make Noise did a really smart move with like the way they have their shared system, where there's that sort of one U row in the middle with the mults there. Yep. And that works really well. I think lying down, like a lot of their systems are sort of designed to play lying down. Mm-hmm. And I think they can be vertical, but I had to think of mine in a vertical rack sort of setting. So that's why like I lined up my buffered mults pretty much just to keep that row hanging right there. So there are some gaps. You can sort of see where the controls are that I like to play a lot. So that's my thoughts on that. It doesn't. Everything gets covered eventually, though.
Yeah.
Especially with like patches that aren't my normal patch. All right. Cable. Let's not talk about cables. Music. There's been a lot of cool events recently in music. Mm-hmm. Like on my list for the last 2 weeks has been the DivKid takeover of EMS, because like holy crap, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Like there's so many people in that I'm a fan of just outside of this stuff. So it was really cool to watch these folks come in and like wreck it. I would love to see their faces on EMS more regularly outside of fully practiced or really well thought out performances. Though I do appreciate that. It would be cool to see like, I don't know, Itai jump on and
I just about freaked out like before
that was incredible.
Show, like a couple days before the show. I got the notification Itai is live on EMS, because I guess we must have been testing the stream, and I was like, "Holy shit!" You know.
Yeah, that night was torture. There, like everybody was jumping on and testing for like 30, and I was like, "I'm on, check it." They're gone. All right.
Dude, I'm playing a NIMS show on the May 13th, and I think Itai's playing that too. And I think Rex the dog is like the main kind of person. But anyways, that was such a great that was such an amazing thing. I turned it on, and I've been following Itai for a while. Like it's like just as someone I enjoy watching, and then I'm like watching it on Earth Modular Society. I'm like, it was such a clash of different like I don't know.
It's worlds colliding kind
worlds
of
colliding,
crossover
right, exactly.
Special, you know.
It was a weird. It was like a small world moment, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, it was cool to see. I'd love to see them back again. And Robbie was saying they all did good. They all had really good patches, and I completely agree. Like I watched every single one of those more than once. So that was really cool. The New York Modular Patchable event was pretty rad.
That was fun.
There was some stuff like it's always cool to see what other people come up with the same very minor sort of limitations in terms of like it needs to be all polyrhythms or something like that. So it's I watched all of those again a few times.
Oh yeah. I didn't know that was happening. So when those questions started coming, I was like, why are they fixated on this one parameter? And I kind of just picked up on it. But,
yeah, it was all polyrhythm or polymeter, and like yours woke was like I don't know, it felt unlike what you usually go with.
Yeah,
Not that was bad. It was like really good. It was just like really mellow and like chill, and I was like blasting it for a couple of days.
yeah, that was really great. That was really great.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Jura, let me grab you the link to that div kit event. I'm pretty sure we have a playlist on YouTube by now.
Yeah, that was it. I was so happy to see that all the playlists that are kind of cleaning up the Earth Modular Society YouTube, where you go to it and you have those playlists ready to go.
Yeah, Juradub, go ahead, and I just linked you to the playlist. That should get you going. Just watch them all and enjoy. Leave some comments or whatever. It's cool. It's a cool event. Yeah, but what I was going to get to is events are I found events to be sort of a blessing and a curse. One, it like gets me out of my box, gets me fired up. But two, it means like a lot. I reduce a lot of the play because there's a deadline and I need to like get it done. So pretty much everything for like the month before the New York Modular, everything I did was polyrhythm, like every single thing. And it was at some point I think I was ready to just go like full four to the floor on everything and just give up. But like
motor
I don't know. So right now I have nothing planned in the future. I'm in like a free state where I can just do whatever I want. It's great.
Really
I'm
nice.
loving it.
Yeah, I get that feeling too when there's something approaching. It's like I don't stream as much. I feel like there's this like delicate balance between hanging on to a patch for too long and having that first like flush of just like wonder about it, and that's what you're really trying to capture with these events. But it's tricky to get that time right sometimes.
I just kind of like put two and two together. I was thinking about why I don't stream more than I do, and I should, like because everything is always going towards the show on Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm everything is like. So starting on Monday, I'm editing, and then when I go towards the show on Saturday, everything is going towards that. So I don't have a moment of like, I'm going to get on and just, I don't know if that's, I was kind of, what you were saying made sense. Like this idea that
with my weekly Sunday service, I kind of look at that differently. I usually won't even patch anything up until the hour before. Because that's usually like the fresh...
Well, that's a skill thing. That's just a skill thing because it like that would take me, it takes me a long time to get what I put on there to like, yeah. There's no way I would be able to do that. Like that's a skill thing. That's like you're doing what you're doing. And
I'm gonna quote Jackie Chan here. I think it was no, I don't remember who did. Maybe it was Rush Hour. I don't know. Too many minds. You're thinking too hard about it. Like you got the skill. But like you said, Woke, like I do something similar before I do a lot of my some of the better streams is I'll spend 45 minutes maybe ahead of time.
Yeah. And that wasn't that way like, before streaming on EMS for sure. EMS has really changed the way that I look at how I'm presenting my music.
Uh-huh.
And it's been most beneficial for my creative output.
That's awesome. That's a recurring theme almost every week. It is awesome. I feel like my last two streams I've been so gung-ho about not having an event. I've just streamed like pretty much crap, but it's fine.
Like as a form of praxis, I'm gonna stream. I'm gonna stream crap, and you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
It's
that
more
was
like I was
awesome.
excited. I was just like, I want to stream. I have nothing. Let's make something.
That
This
was
isn't
my
good, so I'll go over my Micro Freak
that
presets
was
for.
my that was my soundtrack for creating this
Yeah,
yesterday.
that's awesome. But like, my suggestion to you, Frederick, is more guests on your show. And when you have a guest on your show, they're the music. They're the music boss for the show. Like,
Yeah,
try it
yeah,
for a
for
week
sure.
so that you can uh, have pressure lifted. Because I don't know if I'd want to the pressure of coming up with a track every week. Like, I do play intro music every week, but that, I mean,
No, I do
that's,
like that. I like what I like about that. It's the whole like challenge of it. It used to be 2 a week. I used to do 2 songs per episode
Okay.
per week, and they would like full 15-minute song, and it was just like it got to the point where I had some other folks who were who were watching. It was really great, but I was like I felt like I was gonna let people down by being like, dude, this is just unsustainable in any kind of in a sense. But I think with I was saying this the other night, like with EMS, one thing that's the ethic I think is really good about it is like the detachment. Like you can play something and it's kind of not low stakes, but it's not something like to be able to do performance in a way that's not yeah, like you said, like think about it less. Like it's okay to sit there and just be more playful with it. I
It's not
agree with
fraught with
that.
all the other stuff that goes around live gigs. For sure.
right. I also
Yeah.
see it as more ephemeral. Like, yeah, it's being recorded and it'll be uploaded to a playlist, but it's not like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Even when I've been streaming also to my channel lately as well as the EMS, even when I do that, like those videos on my channel pretty much get uh, unlisted as soon as I'm done. Just because like it's fine. Like it's more for the live experience kind of a
Sure,
thing.
sure, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I agree with that as well. There is something about like I did kind of have the vision of it, something like uh when like a variety show starts and one of those older variety shows would start and the band would play and like that'd be just like
Yeah.
a something that first kind of like that's why like we don't start the show and then have a conversation and then go into a song. It's just the song starts the show and then you go from there. And that was always kind of the uh, the vision of that. But
You
I
could do
saw
like the
somebody say,
coldest open, like just start with you, like straight up, or Alex just like, and here's Forrestine or whoever's playing, and like that's 1 second of you before music starts. You know?
yeah, no, I well, trust me, I do love having, love having guests. Like
Yeah.
ultimately, that's what it was always supposed to be about. It was always supposed to be about like featuring as much as it was that kind of concept of the song that opens. The other main concept of the show was always intended to be get other people who are early in their YouTubing kind of or who are just doing really interesting things and to have that ear to be able to listen to people who are starting out and are doing really great work and need that kind of amplification. And that was the show was meant to be to amplify these kinds of works. But
That's
um,
cool.
yeah.
that is super cool. And I felt like I've been missing out because it hasn't been on my radar at all. But man, I
Well,
watched that.
sometimes it's just me, and sometimes it's just me or whatever, and that's
Well,
like when
Saturdays like for me is like I'm Saturday's a busy time.
yeah,
Well,
no,
it's
it
recorded
is,
on
yeah.
Saturday. It comes out
Yeah,
after that.
Yeah,
but
yeah, but
the
no, we're definitely gonna have. I was just saying, I think I caught your last message on, and I responded, but I didn't know if the video had ended or not. But like I said, yeah, I'm gonna DM you soon. I'm gonna try and drag you on
oh,
to
super, yeah,
yeah,
that would be so much fun. But yeah, I just wanted to say I because I have to take off here in a second.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna shut it down anyway.
I really super enjoyed it. That banjo set was amazing. Forestine stuff was just like mind blowing. That whole thing
yeah,
was
so
it,
amazing.
it
Yeah,
was so great. I'm really into it. You're doing great work.
thank you so much. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's Saturday Night Synthesis. Google
yeah.
it on YouTube.
Heck yeah,
Exactly. Just Google it.
I got back episodes, man.
All million letters.
All right. I'll see you guys
Yeah,
later.
it's pretty good looking. All right, let's call it. It's been a perfect hour.
Yeah,
Have a
good
good
time. Thanks
week,
for having
everybody,
me.
and we'll talk more modular next week.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
There you guys.